This video is a bit different from my others. I'll be ranting about the actions of someone and generally making criticisms and shedding light to the full extent of a topic, but here's the thing, I can't say the name of the person or their company. This is because despite almost everyone who's talked about his efforts to avoid it, he's been able to take down nearly every video made about him. It's simply because this guy is, well, a cuck. He doesn't want any of this horrible information with tons of evidence to support it being shown to the public. He's similar to Derek Savage in his misuse of the copyright system, but I'm pretty sure he knows exactly what he's doing, just a hunch. For the purpose of not getting my video taken down by him because he actually took down my original talking about him 5 times before copyright striking it, which I won by the way, only to then see it back up and take it down again, I won't call him or the company by their names or tag them in the video. This person and their company for the purpose of the video will officially be called Tucker and Octopus Productions. Subtle, I know. Let's get into the bullshit. Oh, and if this gets taken down to a point I can't re-upload it, feel free to re-upload it for me. Much of the info in the beginning is coming from his Encyclopedia Dramatica article, which he has, by the way. For those who don't know, his article is called Otako Studios. Andrew Tucker has existed on the internet for a while, going by many pseudonyms like Phenomenon Tucker, Andrew Swag, Off-Duty Dipshit, and many other names from his DeviantArt page. Before getting into his business of Octopus Productions, though, he got the opportunity to make a pilot for Adult Swim. He has said the following in a presumably nasally and unattractive voice.
I'm allowed to be cocky. Let me vent. Alright, people. I'm just here to say that I have the opportunity none of you will ever get, probably. I probably don't deserve it, but I got this. Not you. So, hell, I didn't even go to school for it. This is what an 18-year-old high school dropout can achieve. This is what a person who has no friends can do. This is what I get for spending my whole life on the internet. This is me being better than you.
Now, you can assume through context he did not get this prestigious honor of becoming a cartoon creator and then about 10 years later being found out for having been a sexual deviant, so out of shame for his arrogance, he fucked off to make a webcomic sequel to Panty and Stocking, which you shouldn't read. He decided he needed himself a secretary, so who better than himself but as a bisexual 18-year-old who's a bitch to every person in the company. People don't like the secretary much though, especially the part about how she has the nudes of everyone in the company. If that info wasn't damning enough, several of the people working at Octopus Productions are underage, so maybe bragging about having nudes isn't the best course of action since it's basically, well, child porn. Let's just say in general he isn't well known for treating his team members very well. One of his former artists was called Wowzer. She was 15 when she was hired to presumably do a temp job, then when she finished, Tucker just gave her more pages and it lasted for an entire year. She recollects how Andrew and others said some pretty bad stuff in chats on multiple occasions that made her very uncomfortable. Andrew would also try to make Wowzers his close personal friend rather than a business acquaintance who drew porn for him who was 10 years younger than him. After enough terrible experiences, she finally said she had enough and she quit. She was finally free from Andrew Tucker. Another artist who decided to leave was a guy who worked on the comic, Griddles. He was hired by an unnamed member of Octopus Productions, and at first he got paid by the page. He randomly was told he would get paid by the batch of 10 pages, and a drama suddenly came out. Griddles had a regrettable past brought up alongside with some lies, and was deemed publicly by the studio as dismissed, but secretly worked on the comic in private. He wasn't getting his paid as often as he'd liked, and got no assurance when he'd get his next payment. The last straw came one night when he got a huge surprise. I'm not sure how I should word it, so I'm just going to read what he wrote. I and my fiance, who also worked for the studio in certain capacities, found ourselves talking with a rather addled head of the project, the one who brought me aboard and kept me a secret after the shitstorm. The individual later admitted to being drunk and drug-affected. They proceeded to send us both images of themselves wearing less than their Sunday best before demanding some in return. Despite rebuffing, this continued for some time. We both grew more and more offended. I asked for an apology, a simple apology as an admission they'd stepped over the line. I never got one. He never did get that apology, so he quit, and that was the end, though he did never get paid. Other artists known from his circle include Kimochi, who was under 17 until October of last year, which meant she drew porn for a website while underage. Also, the company openly has displayed porn of characters underage with that lore, so that's another flag. The last artist on my list is Inu Star Art. If she works currently for Octopus Productions is unknown, but she has stated she only saw it as commissions and never had any especially bad experience, so she is in the minority. Other details about Octopus Productions before the controversial taking down of videos include that they made a fan game with copyrighted characters, presumably without the original creator's consent, and are making money off merchandise featuring these same characters, once again, who are copyrighted. This is not only a bad business move, but entirely illegal. Tucker also once bought the Twitter of a guy named Chris King, who faked cancer for over $36,000 on Kickstarter, which wasn't the best move on his part. Not only the fact that he bought the account from this person in the first place, but also Twitter has rules saying you can't do that. Someone asked on Twitter to get into Tucker's Discord, and he said the price was $2,000 $1,000 or to fuck off, and he was just incredibly rude even though the guy was nice about it. Tucker has been caught on Discord saying that he once spent $800 on a personal cam girl for nude who is 15. If you want to hear it, Daft has it on his Twitter for all to download. I personally won't play it out of fear that Andrew will take down my video like he did before. I think those are all the small things to mention. Now, let's get into the really dumb shit. On September 23rd, 2018, Daft released his video talking about the man himself, Andrew Tucker. His video displayed much of the information I relate here and was made in an attempt not only to bring to light Andrew's scumbaggery and unprofessionalism, but also to get people to realize he is doing illegal stuff and should not be supported on his Ko-Fi or multiple Patreons. It was a well put together video, but I suppose Tucker didn't like it since he false flagged it to oblivion and the video is no longer on Daft's channel or really anywhere on the internet. Daft then started a campaign for more people to talk about Tucker in a preparation for his second part. Several people made videos on him, including Manga-Common and Just a Robot, who had helped Daft with the research for his video, Ellis Mark, Cheeseman, Aki Dave, Foster, etc., and yes, myself as well. We all made videos on the subject and all of us got our videos taken down. Some of us re-uploaded, like me for instance, but the videos were almost just as soon taken down once again. We kept re-uploading because it didn't hurt our channels and there was almost nothing else we could do because for some reason there was no way for us to dispute the claims. That's when Tucker started filing false copyright infringement cases that were blatantly and obviously false. We all knew that he would stick to this method, and though we did try to fight back through counter notifications and get our videos back, he would just slap the videos with another strike. Tucker knew how the copyright system worked. He just couldn't take the facts that further ruined and spread the word of his bad name and went on a rampage. He had no right to take down the videos in the way that he did. He abused the system to where he could hide all the bad press about him in what can only be called a cover-up. I tried complaining to YouTube directly. They responded, sure, but in the end, they were no help to me. This can be compared to the Derek Savage situation, but Tucker knows he's abusing it and he just doesn't care. What's YouTube gonna do? They've clearly shown they lack the capacity to deal with this situation that should be obvious how to fix. It pisses me off sometimes to find out people are doing this shit and getting away with it. The reason there are so many people who don't know about all this is because Tucker has wiped the entire slate clean with only a few videos still remaining about this shit. Daft hasn't given up yet, though. He compiled evidence against him further, he talked to some of the artists, and he has said he is working on a lawsuit against Tucker. His channel is also in the related section of the official Octopus Productions YouTube channel, so people will always know. Of course, you won't be able to see that on his Twitter because Tucker has gotten several of the images taken down, including evidence on the controversy and tweets about how Kimochi had blocked Daft. On Daft's Twitter, he also mentions Tucker took down his Discord server multiple times under false pretenses, and even once took down his entire Twitter. You wouldn't be able to see much of this evidence if it weren't for the fact that I took screenshots. Oopsie, guess Tucker didn't think about that. Daft's video has been constantly delayed for a while because of extra evidence constantly coming up, and his attempt at a lawsuit is taking some time. I know everyone who has talked about the subject and been mistreated, the artists who have decided to leave the company, and all the viewers who want justice will feel satisfied when his video does eventually come out. We're all still rooting for you, Daft, and we'll all wait long as necessary. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all later. Fuck you, Andrew Tucker, and have a nice day.